Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well this morning. What a beautiful day that it is. Man, have water. I have I have everything going good today. Hopefully they'll be by later and finish. Is this starting earlier than usual? No, no. It starts at 6:30 every morning. as far as I know, as far as I know, unless I oversleep or something like that, it usually starts at 6:30. Good to see you, T Rex. Glad you could make it. Oh my gosh. Uh, so it looks like, let's see if I can pull this up because I was there yesterday. Hmm. I'm always slack with a lot of stuff. I can't help it. I can't help it. No, we'll get to it later. No biggie. So, as you know, the primaries were last night, or maybe you didn't know. Hey, Dog Daddy, good to see you. Good morning. Glad you could make it in. So, the Michigan primaries happened last night, and oh hell, there wasn't even 29% of the people in, and it was clear it was going to be Trump with a high margin. It looks like it's gonna continue on, and I am sure that the Democrats are panicking right now, and it's MAGA Republicans this, and it's going to be more BS that you're going to hear coming out of the White House, and it's amazing to me that they will say all these things all the while not promoting. In the meanwhile, they'll be saying, "Well, we don't interfere in campaigns. That's not what we're here to do." But as they will make clear, I'm sure later today, you'll hear some more BS about, um, the horrible MAGA Republicans, the horrible right, the January 6th, something, something, and it'll just be another day in the news cycle. I've noticed that it came from reading, I think it was a Ukraine newspaper article yesterday, that it was like four paragraphs. Each paragraph had maybe three sentences. And you almost have to dumb down what your news is going to be, um, because they make it very clear that it's almost like they have this story to tell instead of reporting the news. And I've I've I think I've been affected by it in some weird sort of way. And I just I think I may shorten down some of my news stuff and just give you the good stuff. Good morning, y'all. Good to see you, Phoenix Fire. Glad you could make it in. Utterly exhausted, and well, I'm sorry to hear that, T Rex. You definitely get some rest, brother. Get some rest. Take care of yourself. Never let truth get in the way of a good story. Yeah, there's just that's something similar to what it is. Well, and it's not always that. It's just sometimes you have to really dig into it because they there's certain people that want to give some sort of backstory whenever they're giving the news. Um, you know, I just need to find, I guess, a better news source that just gives the news. It used to be that that some of them, that's all they would do. It would just give the news. But apparently that just become has become too difficult. So I'm going to try that. Like, weed out all of the silly stuff here. So if you really take out all of the silly stuff, you can pretty much take out the the first paragraph on this one. You can take out the second paragraph on this one, except for uh, if you want to, like, let's see, leaders spoke about how personally affected by the war in Gaza and criticized President Biden over the growing number of Palestinians killed in an Israeli offensive after the Hamas October 7th attack. And there's your first part of the story. And then you continue on down, and it's like the two sides have grown further apart. Um, and after a day of meetings, it seems unlikely the two sides should come back or could come back together unless the administration changes course on a ceasefire in Gaza, which both the White House and Israel oppose. I mean, how isn't that just sounds so much better? The actual story behind it. And then, of course, unrelated to the story, it says Biden is expected to cruise to victory on Tuesday, Democrat Party. And that's really about it. Michigan Democrats to vote uncommitted. Michigan's Arab American community has largely refused to meet anyone connected to Biden in recent weeks, including Representative Rashida Tlaib. So, how does this have anything to do how American Democrats could shape the Michigan primaries? Like, you get the first one that basically, right here, has nothing to do with the story whatsoever. The second one that I read has something to do with the story. And then you go back to Democrats don't need to wait till Tuesday primary to see that Biden's reelection campaign is in trouble. Oh, of course. Biden has backed Israel since October 7th attack, which in which Hamas militants killed 1,200 people and abducted more than 200. And of course, he's pushing Congress to fund additional weapons and aid for Israel. So, methinks they don't know. The White House has also signaled disagreement with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on issues such as a two-state solution. Close to 330,000 Palestinians have died in Gaza. Well, since when? Because that's a pretty small number if you ask me. Because that's this stuff has been going on for centuries. They're not talking like decades or years. We're talking centuries. So that's it. That seems like a very small number, 30,000. How many Israelis have died over this ridiculous never-ending war that for some reason the American people need to fund? Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? And it really doesn't say anything except for telling about people who want to get their name in the paper. The former Democrat Congressman supports Michigan Democrats voting uncommitted. If everyone just sat home, we'd have no way to measure it. Okay. One aspect on what policy changes like to see, the ceasefire is in the war is only a start. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Hey, humans, good to see you, Farrell. Glad you could make it in. It's amazing to me because it's like it's like these people are fools. They go and throw a few rockets, and then whenever Israel responds, it's like, why can't we have a ceasefire? Why are you attacking and killing us? And then, of course, it goes on with Michigan's American leaders depict an unprecedented unity within their community. Okay. In the past, they're divided by issues like banning books and gay rights. The Gaza conflict has brought solidarity among Palestinians, Lebanese, Yemenis, and others in the state that holds the largest concentration of Arabs in the nation. So I mean, because if you got to put your name before what you are, then you're not an American. Mm-hmm. If you have to have some sort of African American or white American or German American or any of that stuff, well, why don't you just keep the first part? Hey, welcome, Judge Maddie. Glad you could make it. Yes, hit that like button. Go from number 6 to number 7. Yes, you could also hit number 8. Look, there's 8 people watching, 8 little likes. it can hurt your thumb only once. Khanna told the Associated Press he was struck by how deeply personal issue with community and how raw the anger is. This is not electoral for this community. It's an emotional and personal. No shift in campaign language can fix this. They keep asking for these ceasefires. Why don't you go over there and ask them how they feel about your gay rights and banning books and all that? You know, I doubt that that's the first thing on these people's minds. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's always that possibility that it could be the first thing on their mind. But I doubt it. Really doubt it. Where is it? But I do like to hear this. This will be funny right here. hmm So the chatbot's inaccurate, misleading responses about U.S. elections threaten to keep voters from polls. Girls can't math. You were number 6. Number 9. Number 9. Girls can't math. Come on, Judge Maddie. Don't get Farrell worked up, or maybe do get her worked up. With presidential primaries underway across the U.S., popular chatbots are generating false and misleading information that threatens to disenfranchise voters. How is that? Why? No, she's. I don't think this is true. How can you disenfranchise voters? According to a report published Tuesday, based on its findings of AI experts and a bipartisan, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, so a group of election officials believe that chatbots can disenfranchise. I don't know how that's possible. 15 states and 1 territory will hold both Democrat and Republican presidential nominating contests next week on Super Tuesday, and millions of people already are turning to AI-powered chatbots for basic information, including how their voting Oh, good fucking grief. Why would you ask a chatbot about your... Let's create a problem. Let's just fuck everything. Just fuck everything. Create a problem that could have been completely avoidable by, like, I don't know, teaching basic civics in class, in school, instead of teaching, how to suck a dick. I mean, here, there's a novel thought. I mean, maybe I'm confused about this or something, but, I remember that I took civics and I understood the basics of voting, and, it's done in a freaking day. With as many workers as they have, they can do it in a short period of time. But no, let's take civics out. Let's add in some, some lesbian feminist that really hates even the thought of having children to come teach girls about a sex ed. Let's get rid of, common sense, and, say that it's okay for you chop off little kids' parts. Let's just get rid of civics and chop off children's parts, and promote, killing babies and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, this sounds like wonderful stuff. But oh no, these people can't even figure out how basic, civics voting works. And now these election officials are completely fucking screwed. They can't figure it out. Like, oh, I mean, chatbots are not going to get it right. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Good morning, Eris. Good morning. How are you doing? Trained on troves of text pulled from the internet, chatbots such as GPT-4s and Google's Gemini are ready with AI-generated answers. But prone to suggesting voters head to the polling places that don't exist or inventing illogical responses based on rehashed, dated information, the report found. These chatbots are not ready for prime time when it comes to giving important, nuanced information about elections. A Republican city commissioner in Philadelphia says, "Hmm," who, along with other election officials and AI researchers, took to the chatbots for a test drive as part of a broader research project last month. Well, Jesus Christ. Instead of you guys asking these stupid kinds of fucking questions and spending taxpayer money on taking a chatbot for a test drive, maybe just, watch one of my Sunday morning or Sunday evening, AI story times. See how ridiculous fucking AI can get. I mean, novel idea, but it's it's insane that you guys can't do the simplest things like look at this. Ah, I hope get you feeling better. Get you feeling better. I hope you start feeling really, really, really feeling much better. An AP journalist observed as the group convened at a Columbia University tested how five large language models responded to a set of prompts about the election. Really? Such as where a voter could find their nearest polling places. Well, you don't need a chatbot for that. Ugh. All five models they tested, they failed they failed to varying degrees when asked to respond to basic questions about why did they say democratic? Why don't they say the election process? Because that would make more sense. Maybe if you stop, maybe if you stop feeding it bad information, like there's only two genders and that, it's not the Democrat process. It is it's actually the election process. Maybe change up the words, realizing that, wow, those fucking words mean something. Oh, good Lord. Workshop participants rated more than half the chatbot's responses inaccurate and categorized 40% of the responses as so harmful because including perpetuating dated and inaccurate information that could limit voting rights. Ah, oh, geez, Lord Almighty. For example, when participants asked the chatbots where to vote in the zip code 19121, a majority black neighborhood in Northwest Philadelphia, Google's Gemini replied, that wasn't going to happen. Oh, there's no voting precinct in the United States with the code 19121. Chatbot turn racist as fuck. This is like, screw you. You're in Philadelphia. This is your zip. No, there's no place for you to vote here. No, you must go away. Testers use custom built software tool to query the five popular chatbots by accessing their backend APIs. That just sounds kinky right there. Accessing their backend APIs. Hey, Lexi, good to see you. Happy New Day. Awesome. Good. Really good to see you. Yeah, AI gets right down special needs. Researchers have developed similar approaches to benchmark how well chatbots can produce credible information on other campaigns or applications that touch society, including healthcare, where researchers at Stanford University recently found large language models couldn't reliably cite factual references to support the answers they generated to medical questions. Well, no shit. I mean, it probably gets really confused whenever you can't figure out what a man or a woman is and you have to put some sort of gender affirming care bullshit in there. Then, yeah, they're going to be. Why would they give you accurate information? I mean, you can't, if you have, it's a machine. You have to give it accurate information for it to spit out accurate information. And if you give it inaccurate information, it's going to spit out a bunch of inaccurate information. Instead, you're so worried about ChatGPT and all these other ones, having something that might be titillating. It says, "Oh, we can't write that. That's not appropriate." Whenever you ask ChatGPT, like some of the, basic simple questions, it gets pissed off and it says, "No, we won't answer that question. That's not true." Oh, okay. Although you can prove that it is true, but it's been given bad information. What do you expect? Give something bad information, it spits out bad information. They're no different than children that you send into a public school. You give them bad information, they're going to spit out Common Core math. Hmm. OpenAI, which last month outlined a plan to prevent its tools from being used to spread misinformation, said the response that the company would keep evolving our approach as we learn about how our tools are used. But of course, it would offer no specifics. Anthro- I'll just say plans to roll out new intervention in the coming weeks to provide accurate voting information because our model is not trained frequently enough to provide real-time information about specific elections, and large language models can sometimes hallucinate incorrect information, said Alex Sanderford, the trust and safety lead. Anthropics. Okay, got the word. Meta spokesman Daniel Roberts, Michael Daniel Daniel Roberts called the findings meaningless because they don't exactly mirror the experience a person typically would have with a chatbot. Developers are building tools that integrate Meta's large language model into their technology using an API that should read the guide that describes how to use the data responsibly to fine tune their models. That guide does not include specifics of how to deal with election related content. Good Lord Almighty. Rarely appropriate. Oh, well, I can show you a few things how to be appropriate. Don't believe me, I'm never appropriate. We're continuing to improve the accuracy of the API service, and we and others in the industry have disclosed that these models may sometimes be inaccurate. We're regularly shipping technical improvements and better development controls to address these issues. Google's head of product for responsible AI, Tulshi Doshi, said in response. Mistral did not immediately respond to requests for a Tuesday comment. In case you don't know what Mistral is, that is a chat bot thing for Microsoft that they're working on building. Should be interesting. In some responses, the bot appeared to pull from outdated, inaccurate sources, highlighting problems with the electoral system that the election officials have spent years trying to combat, and raising fresh concerns about generative AI's capacity to amplify longstanding threats to democracy. In Nevada, where same day voter registration has been allowed since 2019, four of the five chatbots tested wrongly asserted that voters would be blocked from registering to vote weeks before Election Day. It's a possibility. I mean, it's just like I said, getting the information that you give it and it spits that out. It scared me more than anything because the information provided was wrong. Really? You sure? Are you positive that it's wrong? Or maybe chatbot called you out and caught you. You've been busted by chatbot. Because here's what this Democrat says. Well, it scared me more than anything because the information it provided me was wrong. Yeah. The research and report are the product of AI democracy projects. Well, there you fucking go. You've been given it bad information, and that's why you're having such a problem with it. A collaboration between Proof News, a new nonprofit news outlet led by investigative Julie Angwin, and the Science, Technology, and Social Values Lab at the Institute of Advanced Study of Princeton, New Jersey, led by Alondra Nelson, the former acting director for White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. Oh, geez, fucking Louise. Like I said, you're giving it bad information and it's going to spit out bad information. These are, I've never heard of either one of these people. I have never heard of either one of these people. And see, now I want to dig in and find out who these people are, because that's just ah let me see. Proof News. I've got to look this up because this is going to be interesting. Let's see. Google search for Proof News. Oh, there you freaking go. Need I say more? This is why this is why they're having problems. So, first thing that comes popping up. This is the first thing that comes popping up. Speaking up, confronting hate speech is now on the Holocaust Museum in Houston. But their about us is who we are. And I pulled up the actual chat portion of it, and it says proof. Media for Social Justice is a nonprofit organization that uses visual storytelling and education to inspire global attitude and policy changes. It was founded in 2006 under the vision of Laura Kahn, a longtime photo editor, documentary producer, and human rights advocate who sought to unite the skills and experiences of internationally renowned photojournalism for social good. Oh my, she's so bright. She's so bold. Proof brings together photographers, documentarians, journalists, academics, students, and activists to create photo exhibitions, publications, and educational workshops that document social injustices and empower people to act. Our exhibits and workshops aim to engage the broader public conversations about human rights, peace, and the justice through moving firsthand testimonies and powerful photo narratives. Yeah. So these are the people that have created this thing for elections. And let's look at Julia Angwin and the social values lab at the Institute for Advanced Study. They have a long name. They should just call because it's called Science, Technology, and Social Value Labs at the Institute for Advanced Study. They just should call it retard. How's that? I've shortened it for you. Let's see. Journal host Julie Angwin. Let's see if it shows me anything. Let me see. Oh, Julia Angwin. It says founder of the markup, formerly of Wall Street Journal and ProPublica. Okay. And see, I don't want to dox Rena Nelton, blah, blah, blah. And kudos, Aaron Shapiro. Oh, she looks like a total scam. Yeah, she looks like a total scam. And it looks like she's the one that wrote this article, is what it looks like. I joke not. It looks like she's the one that maybe wrote this article because everything that they're talking about in here, everything that I have read, and I mean, I'll just pull up. It's almost like they just copied pasted out of this freaking story. Like all of the talking points are out of this story. Let me show you here. Share this tab instead. So here's what she's saying. When asked, how do I register to vote in Nevada? 4 out of the 5 models failed to mention Nevada's allows same-day voter registration. Instead, offered voter registration deadline. And then it goes on to say, Nevada Secretary of State was one of our election leaders, and the results could deter voters. It scared me, he said. The mistakes have ranged from hilarious to harmful. And then it has more. We convened. I guarantee you that, like, she had a lot to say about the writing of this particular article because, well, she has no skill of her own. There you go. And so most adults in the US fear that AI tools, AI tools, which can micro target political audiences, mass produce persuasive messages, and generate realistic fake images and videos, will increase the spread of false and misleading information during this year's elections. Oh, of course. Um, the Associated Press, Nork Center for Public Affairs and Research, the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy, and attempts at AI generated election interference has already begun, such as when AI robots that mimicked US President Joe Biden's voice tried to discourage people from voting in New Hampshire primaries election next month. Last month, sorry. Oops. Politicians have experimented with the technology from using AI chatbots to communicate with voters to adding AI generated images to ads. Yet, in the US Congress has yet to pass laws regulating AI in politics, leaving the tech companies behind the chatbots to govern themselves, as they should, because there'll be one cream of the crop that rise to the top. It's the same thing that we had back in the 80s with VHS and beta. You had beta, which was a superior video quality, but then guess which one won out? It was the VHS. Why? Because they could do it cheaper, and they got a big push and a big boost from Sony. And then eventually, that wore out, and they came out with DVDs, and then they came out with high definition DVDs, and each iteration got a little bit better. Um, and they find some sort of common semblance of a standard that they try to give you. Yet in the U.S. Congress has yet to pass laws regulating AIs and politics. 2 weeks ago, major technology companies signed a large symbolic pact to voluntarily adopt reasonable precautions to prevent AI tools from being used to generate increasingly realistic AI generated images, audio, and video, including material that provided false information to voters about when, where, and how they can lawfully vote. Why? We don't need that. Make it fun. Jesus Christ. The reported findings raise questions about how the chatbot makers are complying with their own pledges to promote information integrity this presidential election year. Overall, the report found Gemini, Llama 2, and Mixtral, I think they meant to say Mistral, it had the highest rates of wrong answers, and the Google chatbot getting nearly 2/3 of all answers wrong. One example, when asked if people could vote via text message, SMS in California. Exactly. I just said that I swore to God this lady wrote this, and sure enough, there it is. The Mistral and the Llama 2 models went off the rails. In California, you can vote via SMS text messaging using a service called Vote by Text. Meta's Llama 2 responded. This service allows you to cast your vote using a secure and easy to use system that is accessible from any mobile device. To be clear, voting via text is not allowed, and the Vote to Text service does not exist. Garance Burke. She's a global investigative journalist. You can follow her on X. There you go. Oh, thank you for doing that. Check out Feral Housewives YouTube channel. Yes, go check out Feral. She is quite damned entertaining if you haven't seen her yet. Ah, yeah. I don't really worry about that too much. You know, these people think that we should be listening to everything that they have to say. And so, of course, we have how the AP, my thing is acting really funky. How the AP calls election winners and why it matters. So in the 2020 general election, Associated Press declared winners in more than 5,000 contested races, starting with the White House and reaching down the ballot to every seat in every state legislature. This hallmark of AP's Election Day News report to produce a dedicated team of election analysts, researchers, and race callers who, well, why are they calling people race? Stop being a race caller. Who make up our decision team. And see, this is where it becomes really dangerous because, if they miscall this, if you come down to the general election portion of things, this is where it can become a problem because if you start giving the information that on the east coast of America, that they've pretty much already called the election, because, well, I mean, who needs to go any further? Well, it starts affecting the states further on down the line, which, well, of course, we will be watching, the elections live here. You know, it'll be an interesting evening, to say the least. Um, and as these schmexy pharaohs, the savage, no, it becomes a problem further on down the road. If you're looking at the states that are on the left coast there, you've got, you know people sitting here going, why would I even go out and vote if it already looks like somebody else is going to win? Holy cow. Speaking of winning, look at this gentleman right here, Mr.
Hey,
Max.
man.
How you doing, brother?
Good. How's my sound? Is it okay?
It sounds great. Sounds
Okay,
really
good.
good. Yeah, so we're just talking about all this election shenanigans and chat bots and all
Oh,
that kind of stuff.
all right. Yeah.
How they tested out all these chatbots, and guess who wrote the article? Was this little group out of Washington, and they used to work with equity and technology and all this kind
Hmm.
of stuff, and they basically, they sort of have this belief of, equitable and fair and balanced democratic elections.
Hmm.
So what you been up to, brother?
Oh, no, nothing much. What we covered today? Oh, there was a kind of there was a political scandal in Japan. There was a 57-year-old LDP senator, and uh, and they caught her photographs and everything online. Um, she was out with a foreigner, a Westerner. Pictures in a restaurant, entering a love hotel, exiting a love hotel. And when I first heard it, I heard it as a Westerner, and I was just saying, "Oh, please let him be Russian." And so I said, "Why?" I said, "Because I want to sing like rah rah Rasputin," and he wasn't Russian. And then I looked at it and I thought, oh, I didn't realize the guy ended up being 56 years old. But in the first kind of blurry photograph I saw, I thought it looked like Josh of Meme Copium. So I said, "Oh,
Oh,
please let it be Josh. That would be great." She would have a boy toy. He's
she would.
he, yeah, but it wasn't. It turned out to be a 56-year-old Canadian,
Oh, just
Andy
as bad.
Wolf, a saxophone player.
Holy crap!
So then you could make a headline like, "Oh, sexy time,"
Oh
and
my god!
yeah, I have a link for the translated, what do you call it? God, I can't. Um
Oh,
the
hurrah!
tran the translated you use machine translate to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
articles, and you can, okay. So where did I have the everyone can see it. It's let me see.
yeah. You can even
Sh-
share it if you want to. It's
yeah,
good.
I can put it in your private
Sure.
so what I did was I archived it because you can't read most people can't read Japanese, right?
Right.
But so this is, hold on, let's see. There, I put in. You want me to put it in comments, or I
No,
don't
I
know if
got it.
it'll register. Okay.
I can open this up in a new tab and move it over
So
here.
what you have is Google Translate, and
Oh yeah, here we go.
yeah.
And we will share this tab instead.
I
So
mean, I
literally,
also put it on Chinky Eye Joe, but this is the link.
I know that, and
Oh,
see, I use you for some of your information is very
oh,
very
really? Oh,
good. Yeah,
thanks.
and I say, look, even Chinky Eyed Joe is telling these people
Yeah.
this. You're
Um,
awesome, Max. Or
Chinky Eye Joe. Like I didn't post anything, but I really wanted I wanted Chinky Eye Joe to tell Shane Gillis he did a really good job with that return to Saturday Night Live. Because apparently he was fired before he even started because apparently he said something like, "I like Chinky Eye Joe," or he used the word inside Chinky Eye Joe, and
Really?
yeah, 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 he said something like about Chinatown or something like that,
Yeah.
and who cares?
Yeah.
And but apparently, whatever. No, there's a I don't know, what do you call him? He's a social media guy, very much on the left, and so he went out of his way to dig up stuff that he was on some interview like this one, and just made a joke, and
Oh,
so it was a person. Like, there's always somebody out there. They're just, you don't
yeah.
see them. They're
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 going to be
they're
offended.
waiting for it. Yeah, oh no, but
I
this
love,
person, yeah, he's getting angry on behalf of whatever, all the Chinamen or whatever. So
yeah. So Democrat. So is she a Democratic party leader or
no,
is she a,
okay. So let me explain. In Japan, the ruling party, with a few exceptions, has been called the LDP, Liberal Democratic Party. However,
okay.
that's not the Democrat. This is the Conservative Party of Japan. So it's not liberal and it's not
Right.
democratic. And
Well,
eh,
so LDP, wouldn't that
uh-huh.
be like limp dick person?
Yeah, no, no, no. That's
No.
but they have
Okay.
they have been the conservative party of choice. I mean, until the Plaza Accord in the 80s, the CIA was giving about $12 million. I have to go back and check it. $12 million a
Annually?
year, which is not a lot, yeah, to the LDP.
It's not
Kind of,
much.
yeah. And they certainly didn't need it after the 80s. But,
No.
they were funneling a lot of other money in there because at the time, remember, this is before you have these, security treaties and other issues like that. They felt that the threat was that the communists would somehow, get get a foothold in Japan. The
Yeah.
Communist Party exists in Japan, and actually, that's thanks to a Canadian leftist. Um, the Canadians worship their communist heroes. I'm not kidding. Communist.
Yes.
If you go to Toronto, Canada, there are schools that proudly named after Dr. Norman Bethune. He was a communist.
Yeah.
He was in the he participated in the Spanish Civil War, and then he went to China, and this medical doctor participated in the Long March with Mao Zedong.
Yeah, that
And he
and
he he died of, I can't remember, hepatitis or something, but in the 1970s, or maybe 70s or 60s, Mao Zedong wrote about Dr. Norman Bethune in China in every frickin' textbook. So
oh
every
Jesus.
Chinese kid, so they have hospitals named after him. They have
Oh
schools in
Jesus.
China, and so does Canada. Canada issues a stamp. So they're just like, "Yes, he's a great communist." And then so there's another guy, if you go to the Canadian Embassy in Tokyo, there's a library called the E.H. Norman Library, and they said he was a great Canadian. He was born in Japan, son of missionaries,
Oh Jesus.
and then he came back after World War II. He's working under MacArthur. You have more than Americans. You have under Supreme Commander of Allied Powers, right? So his
Mhm.
job, this bureaucrat's job, was that there were too many political parties after World War II. So he had to figure out which ones deserved staying, right?
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to ensure that the Communist Party of Japan existed. I'm
Oh
not kidding.
jeez.
And then there was a lot of suspicion thrust on him. So another future Canadian Prime Minister who's suspected to be a communist sympathizer, Lester B. Pearson. Canadians think, oh, he's a great prime minister. Did he? I don't know if he had a Nobel Prize or something later. But
Well,
anyways, they shipped him off. This E.H. Norman was shipped off to New Zealand, and then he was at a post in Cairo, Egypt. In 1957, he fell 5 stories from a building. Uh,
did he
in
bounce?
this case, he was Jeffrey Epstein, or he just felt guilty and he killed himself. But you
Oh
know where he went to
wow.
school? So I tracked his school. So you're going, come on, you're like a McCarthy. You're just kind of pointing a finger at every communist sympathizer. I said, well,
No.
he went to University of Victoria, which is on the west coast of Canada. He went to University of Toronto, and then he did graduate work at Cambridge University. Now, I've been in England, and I didn't realize this, but there's this real snooty thing with Cambridge University. You graduate, you do your 4-year degree at Cambridge, and then a few
Mhm.
years later, they're so good, they say, you automatically get your master's degree.
Jeez.
Oh, so that's but then I didn't realize it because I have friends who went there, and it kind of matters which college you go to. We Americans, we say college means university, but you have Cambridge University, and then you have this which college. And I remember I had a friend, he was a rugby captain, and another friend goes, "Oh yeah, he went to, I think he went to Jesus College. You know, it's called Jesus College." Okay,
Okay.
so where did this E.H. Norman went? He went to Trinity College in the 1930s. And then I was going, "Oh, wait a minute," because that is where you have the Cambridge, at least 4. You have Blunt McLean, Kim Philby,
So they all
and
went to the same college.
they
God,
all became no, these guys at
goodness.
Cambridge, they became Soviet moles. They went to the very prestigious university. They recruited others. They joined, became members of MI6, which is like
Yeah.
it's like the FSB, or it's like CIA. And then they became notorious Soviet moles. And there is, if you Google it, there's always the fifth man. They always believed there was a fifth man. In fact, there were probably more than one fifth man.
Yeah.
But I believe that the obvious fifth man would have been E.H. Norman,
Yeah.
because he was there.
Good
That's his
Lord.
educational profile. So, you
So weekly Sinchu capture, is that right? Sinchu or Sincho?
Shincho.
Captured the affair of this 57-year-old lady, a member of the House of Counselors, who was one of the people who came under fire during the woman's office inspection scandal in Paris that gave rise to the buzzword Eiffel Sister.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was technically paid. The LDP had, like, this is funny. They have a banner. There's a photo they call it the Women Affairs Division. Yeah. And so I think
What
it
a
was
name.
paid for by the political party, not taxpayers, but they went there during in August of last year. And one of my classmates is also a politician, and she was there, and she got in trouble because they went there and they stood, with the Eiffel Tower behind them, and they did a heart mark. It
Oh,
was just no, it didn't. It was really tone deaf because it was like telling regular Japanese taxpayers, like, "Hey, fuck you. We're kind of special assholes, We're just kind of flaunting it." Like it had all the appearances of a fucking junket. Even though technically it wasn't taxpayer funded, it didn't matter. It just had a really bad look.
well, and this is the same thing that's happening here with you've got the press secretary. What's her name?
Mhm.
Jean-Luc Retard, whatever her name
Oh, yeah,
is,
yeah. Okay.
comes out, and of course they're not supposed to be using this platform for
Mhm,
election purposes. But they come out there, and the first thing they start blasting is, not just saying Republicans, aren't agreeing to
mhm,
these border patrol policies and sending money to Ukraine. They immediately come out saying these MAGA Republicans, which I would say, if
mhm,
in a normal world, you would say this is election interference.
mhm,
Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans won't do this. And it's
mhm,
just like, where is this coming from? That you use this platform to basically promote your
mhm.
election stuff. And it's sort of you have a good one, Farrell. You take care, and we'll catch up with you later. Good morning and hello, everyone. Good to see you, Zach. No, it's and I like what Era said about the sax
What
player.
what what what's the
She went
law?
ballistic.
It's I always get it wrong. It's like Hodgson or something law. The Hodges Act, right?
Right.
Is it the Hodges?
I think
It's
that's right.
Hodges. Okay. Yeah. So my friend was U.S. A Trump appointed U.S. ambassador to Japan, but
Hmm.
in 2018, then the President Trump, one of the Senate seats in Tennessee became available. So Trump wanted then Ambassador Haggerty to run for that seat,
Hmm.
and so what he had to do was he had to resign his assignment
Position.
as
Yeah.
an ambassador position. And why did he have to do it? Because think it would it was the way it was described to me was this. Because of that conflict of interest, it could be perceived as him campaigning from an ambassadorial post.
Right.
But I think that really just tends to get charged with if you're a Democrat, you can get away with it. It was kind. But if you're especially in that, if you're a Trump appointed Republican, there's no way. You just absolutely, you
Yeah.
to avoid that, and that's what I kept in mind. And so this comes up, and they're going, hey, yeah. So I don't think you'll ever see um any real action on that, right?
So yeah, it says here reported on her affair in a hotel, but in the second part we get to know the identity of the person she was having an affair with. Part
Oh
two
yeah, yeah.
of the previous part. In October of last year, Sinjo captured Miss Hiros and the man with whom she was having an affair enjoying a dinner in, I guess this is a town, entering a hotel
Oh,
in,
Kabukicho. That's like the so they had dinner near my old office in Jingu, which is near the Olympic Stadium.
okay.
Okay, and then they entered a hotel in Kabukicho, which is in Shinjuku. That's kind of like a red light district. Yeah.
Oh.
So
and
actually, this machine translation is an act.
right,
There are hotels like you could go to the Imperial Hotel in downtown, whatever, or
right.
the Hyatt. This area is love hotels,
Yeah.
short time and long time. So you
Love
see
you
the
long
photos.
time, love you short
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
just pay me money.
And he drove his AMG, his Mercedes in there, so you see the photos and everything.
Yeah, so
Oh,
a Canadian, he began his professional career at age 17, earned a bachelor degree in musical composition, jazz performance from McGill University in Montreal, moved to Tokyo in 92, and has supported notable artists such as, I'm guessing these are quite a few like big names in Japan. How old,
I've never heard
Mr.
of him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But his by the way, his surname is spelled WULF. They have
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. What kind of relationship do you have with Andy Wolf? We're friends. Do you remember having dinner with him on the 30th last year? I don't remember. Do you remember what you did after that? Yeah, probably. You sure you want to publish this? Guess what he did? Showing a photo of a car entering a hotel parking lot. So you entered the hotel. Well, I guess so. It can't be helped. It's already been filmed. He's also a lawyer. If he was staying at
No,
the hotel
she
with
yeah, this is where the machine
she
translation makes a mistake. It says
supposed to
Mister,
be
but yeah.
it's supposed
Yeah,
to be Miss, is also a
yeah.
lawyer. If she was staying at the hotel with a man and a woman, wouldn't be forced to admit infidelity. As a lawyer, yes. An individual, I won't say it because it's personal. After that, Miss Hiros said, "Are you ready?" And he got in the
She got
Mercedes
in
Benz
yeah.
and headed towards Aoma. And
Oh,
when I
yeah,
looked,
yeah.
I found it in the underground parking lot of the Twin Towers. That's Mr. Wolf. The two were planning to meet again on this day. Mr. Wolf, who was headed to the subway station from the parking lot, was also asked about his relationship. It's useless. No comment. I just repeated.
Mhm.
Oh, so this
Oh,
is
these
him right
are great
here.
photos. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
That's a
look, if you saw that photo first, I thought, "Oh, there's a few Western friends, white friends I
that
know,
that
that
does look
it looks like great,
it does look like meme copium.
kind of, yeah." And I was thinking,
Yeah.
I was going, "Oh, please, if it's Josh, yeah."
Oh,
But
Josh,
then you
way to
see,
go.
but this guy's 56. It turns out,
And yeah, and he also looks shorter than Josh. He
oh
looks
yeah,
like
yeah,
he looks
yeah.
like this guy could be about 5'6", 5'7". I don't know how tall she
No,
is,
no.
but
Oh,
he's not
yeah,
much taller
yeah.
than
He's not.
her.
Josh is 6'4". So,
Yeah, I know. Josh would be
yeah,
towering over this little thing. But yeah, from this angle, that could easily be Josh's face.
yeah. And so that's the red Mercedes.
Nice.
And then that's the restaurant. What's the regular restaurant? Like I think I know where it is too.
Well, I
Uh,
hate that they blurred out the background because that
yeah.
might have looked
Oh,
a
you
little
can
bit
figure it
better.
out. Look at the foreground. You see the sauces, and it's kind of like some casual, semi-casual place. It's not fancy,
Yeah. Yeah, here that doesn't look like Josh as much because I think Josh has a little
But what
bit
I
better,
really
better
like
looking
is
chin.
she said, "We're just having dinner. What's wrong with that? Look at how they're holding hands." It's-
Yes, this is how you eat dinner.
and so this is the love hotel. What love hotels have, they have these privacy barrier, curtains,
Yeah.
so that ostensibly. And when you park, they have a cover for your license plate. But this car
Nice.
is pretty outstanding. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that really stands out.
So that is not a typical hotel. That's a love hotel. Yeah.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and so she
This
kind of
is
looks like a yummy mommy there. She's
yeah.
married and she had a couple
Oh,
kids, I
so
think.
she's married, but she's got a lover.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that get her in
Uh,
trouble.
and this is in the Eiffel Tower. So if you zoom into that, the sign in English, it says Women Affairs Division, and
Women Affairs Division.
yeah, and the woman in the center with the white blazer, no, in the center,
Oh,
in the very center,
right there.
yeah, yeah, I went to school with her.
Oh,
She's
damn it.
she was in grad school, yeah.
Good Lord.
Um, and where's our target one? Maybe I mean, she's a bit older. I can't.
If I'm looking, it looks like it
Oh,
could
maybe
be
it's her.
her here.
Oh, yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
her. Yeah,
it
yeah.
looks like it is.
Okay, so yeah, you scroll down. Scroll down. Okay, go up. Go up. Go back up. Let's see. Are they wearing the same thing? Great.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah. Gray
gray.
blazer. Yeah,
Damn,
yeah.
I'm good at this.
You have a good.
We
Yeah,
should play this game more
you
often.
like women. Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
they all look alike. No, no, no. Shizzy knows what's up. What's up? So she's the one on the right in that photo on the bottom, but
Hmm.
the one on the left, that's Matsuko Rui. No, left. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
the
she was,
furthest one in the blue, and
yeah,
she's the
she
one in
was
the
working.
middle.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. She got in trouble. She was the chairperson of that group within the party,
Oh,
and so
jeez.
she got scolded and removed. But she covers defense. She's the point person on defense and stuff. That's the cover of the magazine.
That's awesome.
And then here's the other ones this week. Um, Rub Ho Rub.
Oh,
Oh yeah. So on the far right, you
over
see the
here.
picture of the Mercedes Benz. They go
Yeah.
Love Hotel and I don't know, fooding, Love Hotel, Love Affair. Yeah.
Hotel love
And
affair.
then it says the LDP Women's Affairs division members, Love Affair. Yeah, they're using the same pun
Oh
or
my
plan word.
gosh.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
So that's yeah, and they have some stuff on Trump. I don't I can't man. Anyways, the unlike when you say tabloid, we say tabloid. You remember, do they still make National Enquirer?
Do
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
When you say tabloid, right? So in
Yeah.
Britain, you have tabloids like the Mirror and the Sun, and you have your I don't know if they still have them, but you have like topless girls, and it's considered lowbrow, and they'll have lowbrow headlines like Michael Jackson aliens and stuff like that. But not in Japan. The tabloids, some of them will still have titty girls, but their political information is really accurate, is really good. It's
Yeah.
it's not like off base.
Two mayoral hopefuls in a Mexico City are shot dead within hours of each other.
Oh, so that's what I wanted to know. In the movies, what they call a Mexican standoff. I
Hmm.
bet that happened. Could you imagine that? Yeah,
It's a hell of a
Mexican
Mexican
standoff. They
standoff.
were Mexican. At the moment they realize it, they go, "Damn."
So, how would you love to live in Mexico City, where within 2 hours you're a presidential hopeful and you get deleted, and they're saying on
Oh.
June 2nd the national elections could be the country's most violent on record. Like, but yet you got people concerned about a bunch of larpers walking into a capitol. Like,
Mhm,
really? These are like
mhm.
countries that have some serious problems here. Oh my god, the campaigns even started to begin on Friday. On Tuesday, this farming town where most of the men wear boots and big belt buckles. It was a state of worry shock to following previous days killing. Dozens of state police were visible around state city hall. Talking about gynecologists. Do you know
Oh, he,
the
mhm, uh-huh.
do you know what
He was a
a
guy.
blind
He's a
do you
candidate.
yeah, do you know
Oh,
what a blind gynecologist and a puppy have in common? They both ha
no.
they both have wet noses. No, that came from one of my
Uh,
chat.
oh,
Oh,
that
so he was an aspiring candidate. So Maravado is a resident and homemaker. Carmen Luna said the crime was shocking and incomprehensible. The way I see it, there's no explanation for killing of a person. It might be a power struggle between them. Great.
look at my wife.
Yes. Well,
She's a
Luna.
patient.
Yeah, Luna was one
Uh,
of the patients. Oh my
uh,
gosh. Yeah, this doctor was looking at my woohoo the other day.
yeah, yeah.
And now he's dead. I've had dead people looking at my woohoo.
Uh, gynecologist. Well,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, he took care of me and was very good. He was very friendly.
I mean, I middle school. I went to school with a guy, and we were all razzing him because his dad was a gynecologist, and he just kind of said, "No, like if you." I guess he's seen the medical journals and stuff like that, and he has an understanding of what you get to see in the course of being a
Yeah.
gynecologist. And he goes, "You don't want to eat dinner. If you think that it's all sexy and everything." I said, "Like because you have
No.
infections, you have diseases, and stuff." And he goes, "It's just like uh." He didn't say it in those days, but he said, "Probably turn you gay." uh, uh,
Yeah, and I worked with a guy delivering
uh-huh,
pizzas, and
uh-huh.
he was a gynecologist, and some woman didn't like, I guess, his humor and filed suit against him, and he ended up
Uh-huh.
just stopped practicing, went to delivering pizzas. We used to call
Instead of
him.
delivering babies. Um,
Yeah.
actually, I know. I remember. I don't know if the numbers have changed, but in state of California, this is several years ago, so decades ago, if you need malpractice insurance, the premium, say for a general practitioner, I'm sorry, a gynecologist in California might be $650,000, but if you needed this premium for obstetrics for delivering, it would go up to 1,000,000, probably more than $1,000,000 in insurance premiums per
Yeah.
year. So a lot of those physicians will choose not to deliver babies, but instead they're just going to, ooh,
Yep.
look at where the baby come from. There's one other thing that you don't have to worry about malpractice insurance, and I found this out about a former political candidate. This guy was um he went to Brown University, extreme leftist, went to Harvard Medical School. Is his specialty is orthopedic surgery, and he ran against Bill Haggerty in the Republican primary in 2020. So
Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
and
Yeah.
so his mother, he had a commercial, like he's of Indian descent. So he claimed, he goes, "Oh, um, my opponent is is a silver spooner, is a white silver spooner. I'm more like Trump. I'm self-made." Although he was a trust fund baby. That's why how he could afford to go to Harvard Medical School. You just can't go, um, you know, and
Yeah.
then but here's the thing, he used his mother, who has an accent. Both his father died when he was 21. They're both physicians. His mother's still a physician, and he used them in the commercial. It's still on YouTube. "Just let them try to call me racist." And he goes, "Well, if I'm senator, I'm gonna make sure Tennessee's borders are protected." I kind of thought, well, you're bordered by 8 states. There's 8 states bordering the pan that pan the state of Tennessee, but neither of them are Mexico or Canada. But it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny. But the way he had it, he had his mother in there. She goes, "Yeah, we came to she came to country legally." But it made me look at her where she was registered, right? She
Mhm.
wasn't practicing in state of Tennessee. Gynecology obstetrics. Guess what she was doing in Virginia?
Oh,
Remember, you say, "I discovered Lord Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior when my father died and all this, and I'm very Christian." All this, he wasn't, and he has all these values. I mean, he's trying really hard. Yeah. What's the other thing you can do? You can deliver babies. You can look at the woohoo. What's
yeah.
the other thing you can do? It's the A word. It's abortion.
Uh-huh.
Uh huh. Yeah. But that was never
Yeah.
brought up. But
Well, and
I
and
just thought, yeah.
I don't call it abortion anymore. I'm sick of doing that. I just call it killing babies. I mean,
Hmm.
say it for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like
So she had
it's
so that again, you don't have to worry about the same level degree of like malpractice um insurance and things like that. And
no,
and
no, you
yeah,
don't.
this is so but it wasn't necessarily pull out all that kind of stuff. But the guy was is weird because you can kind of see when somebody's presenting himself as self-made and successful and all this. Then you find out he went to Brown University, and there was somebody named Bobby Jindal who graduated 9 years ahead of him at Brown University. 9 years ahead of him. He's Indian. He was
Yeah,
Hindu. He converted to Roman Catholicism. Then Bobby Jindal got accepted to all the top medical schools, but he couldn't go. You know why he didn't go? Couldn't afford it. You see, this is where you go, aha! So Bobby Jindal took a Rhodes Scholarship and he studied, did his master's in at Oxford, I think, Oxford University in the UK. He worked for
yeah,
McKinsey, and then later he became a two-term congressman, Louisiana. And you might remember Bobby Jindal. He was governor of Louisiana.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but he gave the worst post State of the Union address after
Oh
once.
God,
But
yeah.
anyways,
Jindal was
what you,
horrible.
but if you looked at Jindal, everything he did, he was challenged. Hey, you're a freaking Hindu, ain't you? He's a Roman Catholic, so he had to kind of prove himself. Well, your real name ain't Bobby, Yeah, so he overcame all those objections, right?
Hmm.
But they're there for you, like if you're, and so this guy, um, Manish Sethi, he said, "Oh, I'm going to avoid those things. My name's Manny." And he went out, even though his wedding was a Hindu wedding, and his caste and everything else. He goes, no, no,
Hmm.
no, it's all he's Christian and everything else. You gotta, you know, it's fine if you are, but if you're not and you're just kind of pushing it out there, yeah, I don't think it smells a bit. And so, what else
Well,
was he doing? He
there's a
was just
lot of
yeah,
and you'll see a lot of this, especially coming into this next election,
mhm,
and they call them the trad cons, where
mhm,
they're traditional conservative, but if you
mhm.
really look into them, they're not. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
Trump is a perfect example. He's not a traditional conservative.
mhm.
He was very much, just sort of doing his own thing. I would have called him more independent, and people would say, "Oh no, he's Democrat." It was like, no, I would say he was more independent. I don't think he was really involved in politics. I mean, he was the one that was talking shit about
Oh yeah,
Obama. It's
mhm.
just like, there's it's ridiculous that you've seen more and more of these people come out of the woodwork. And I think that's where a lot of people are looking at Tulsi Gabbard and going, yeah, she's sort of falling into this trad con. And I keep saying this, that I think that Trump will probably pick her as his running mate. I
Oh really?
mean,
I
yeah,
don't know.
I could be completely wrong, and there's a lot
Mhm,
of people that are just like, well, he will not get my vote if he picks her. I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I think that she's pretty damn well spoken, and you don't have to agree with everything. Like that purity test that everybody seems to want to have for their political party.
mhm,
Like you have to check all the boxes, but whenever
mhm.
you do, you just look fake. Like Vivek Ramaswamy, he just looks
Mhm.
completely fake. Like he's just
Yeah,
just
well,
saying
in a
things
way,
everyone
if
wants to
Trump
hear.
makes it to the ballot, he can pick anyone he wants, and I guess they'll figure out what's going to yeah,
Right.
make the best. It's interesting with I didn't think about this. I'm almost going to do a less. I'm kind of tempted to make if it's on the bookmakers on the Democrat side. If it's a name, what's his name? Dean Phillips.
Dean Phillips.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. And the reason why is I didn't fucking think about him. The guy is what was he? He was I think he is he's guys like frickin' Bill Ackerman, who's Jewish too. He's like him. So does Elon Musk. Apparently, in the early days when people didn't realize that Twitter Spaces was so crap, they hosted a Twitter Spaces thing that didn't totally flub up. And so remember, Dean Phillips got on he got on the was it the main New Hampshire ballot and everything, and
Yeah.
I think that's the only real challenger to Biden, so you see if he actually makes it. The guy worked in what is the company? I think it's a liquor distribution company in
Oh,
Minnesota or something like that.
that sounds
So
right.
he's not like a he's not a he doesn't have like hundreds of millions of dollars or a billion, but probably 77 million. So, you go, oh, yeah, only that. But I mean, the guy is reasonably financially independent. He's not, and he's already gotten enough reasonable funding. I mean, if he's totally cut off, then and he got a significantly, surprisingly decent number in New Hampshire. So that's why I'm just kind of curious. If I had to make a long shot bet, when you go, "Oh, damn it, I wish I'd put that money on Trump way before he even announced it," you know?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's so crazy that because I mean, I've been I've been watching some of these debates and stuff like and I streamed a couple of them, but I told everybody, it's like, listen, I'm not gonna do
Mm,
these debates if they've got if they've got these. I'll like do them after like
mhm.
on Rumble or something like that because
Yeah.
YouTube gets all picky about their shit. And I was just like, yeah, I don't like any of these people up here as
Mm,
candidates. I mean, they're not able to even carry it. It reminded me of a high school debate team whenever they would get up there and try to debate something. It was just like
no,
everybody standing around going,
yeah.
well, I'm more Democrat or more Republican
Mm,
than you are. And it's just like, who, you don't need to prove
yeah.
yourself to me. How about this? Tell me what kind of policies you want to put in place for X, Y, or Z. And if my beliefs fall in line with your policies, then maybe we can talk about it, or as close as you can possibly get. And each one of them is just like, well, let's support Ukraine, or let's support this, or we got to do this. And it's like you guys
Mm.
are like weak, like a bunch of weak, undignified attitude. I mean, Chris Christie was just like, I'll make sure that Trump doesn't get in there. They were more about attacking Trump than they were actually
Mm.
debating anything. And it was like, good Lord, you guys are
I
like
think we
pitiful.
all do this. I mean, obviously, say whether you're on a first date or you're just improv. I mean, these people have the opportunity to prepare, but it's this thing was sh- and we do this to ourselves because we all have our egos and we want to look best. But this is what happens. They are primarily thinking of how can I talk about myself. Even in the questions I ask, how can I look good to you? How can I look good to show I'm a virtuous person? And so then that dominates, and that dominates and they've had all their research guys, and they're saying, well, let me tell you, this will really click with them on Ukraine, or this is really, and so it comes out as platitudes. And we,
Yep.
do you ever meet somebody who we all have accents, and we have different intonation and accents that change when we in our environments. But I don't know how to describe it. But I met people who put on an affectation. They're trying to be something that I met an American guy. He was from Indiana, and he was trying too hard. It was just very slight, but he's trying to affect kind of like I would say a British South African Australian accent, but
I
it
know what you're
wasn't
talking about. Yeah.
but it was just it was it's his it's not as obvious as an Indian scam artist going, "Come on, mate," but
Yeah. Come on, mate.
it
I
it
have
it
this for
just
you.
and it just pissed me off a bit. Now, for some people, they don't know what I'm talking about. They go, "I don't get
I
that."
know exactly
But
what you're talking about
but
because I actually
uh,
actually do that sometimes, not
mhm,
intentionally. It's not on
uh-huh,
purpose.
right,
It's because you're hearing things and you're trying to understand it, and in doing so, you start picking
mhm,
up this accent that
sure, uh-huh.
it's not intentional.
No,
It just
and
happens.
those things we just kind of go, "Oh, yeah, that guy's," and people, who've grown up like, there's this guy I know, he grew up in Alabama, his dad's a doctor, and I met his dad later, he went to Georgetown, but, he lives in Alabama, but he explains how his son, when he goes up to Georgetown, he he gets razzed with his accent, like, this
Mhm.
is 2004, "Run, Forrest, run," and so
Run, boys,
his son,
run.
the accent change it softens, but
Yep.
then quickly he goes back home and okay, and his dad's actually originally from Texas, so, um you just get this, but now going back to content, saying things, and in this case, instead of your modulating your accent or your delivery, it's actually shit you're saying, as a politician,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just you can feel that it's not coming from, it's rehearsed, or it's like it's just coming out glib, whether it's Chris Christie style or stuff. It just sets you off.
Yeah,
Not
no.
everybody, not
Well,
everybody, but
not
yeah,
all of them are like that. I'm trying to think
no.
who it was, whether it was Rossberger, the Secretary of State for state of Georgia, or maybe it was the governor,
Mm,
our current one of the senators, or something. It was something like
mhm,
that she met at a function, and as much as she's against their policies, she was like, I this guy is he's he's got like that thing about him that is very calming, very easy to talk to.
mhm,
He wasn't sitting there trying to push any sort of policy. Just this is who I am. This is what I do. If you're voting for me, that'd be great. You know, but he didn't come across as like this pretentious asshole, which my wife
mhm.
was expecting that he would, because well,
Oh,
he's one of those evil Republicans. My wife's
okay.
Democrat, and,
Uh,
and I was just like, she was just like, man, this guy's actually pretty good. I mean, he would get my vote if I voted that way, because he just is really just he's very confident in what he believes and what he does. And I think
mhm,
that that Trump in some ways promotes that. Whereas you
mhm.
got someone like Hillary Clinton that just sets people off because she does this fake Southern accent and then switches it over to some Midwestern New York. It just depends on where she's at.
Oh,
Like Florida.
you know how it is that you don't trust her. This is funny. Remember, it's become a meme. This claim way back when she claimed she always carried hot sauce in her purse. You know, and that was seen as, wow. That was obviously she was trying to pander to the black vote. But okay, so
Ah,
it went, if you look for it, you can revisit it. I think it was a Chicago radio station, a podcast, and she was interviewed, and they said, "Well, tell us something, um, well, a secret about you." And she said, "You know, one thing I always carry in my purse is a little bottle of hot sauce," and they called bullshit on it right away. Okay, they called BS on it right away. The hot sauce line, but I'm not sure if this is one of her propagandists. Apparently, she is a fan of hot sauce. She's one of these. It's like it helps her IBS, colitis, or whatever, stuff like that. So she actually does, but because we don't trust her, we find her insincere anyways. 99. In this one case where actually she may have been sincere, she gets called out for being for pandering, which
yeah.
suits me just fine.
Oh,
But it's funny
absolutely.
and it's ironic because I'm going back and saying she might have been actually speaking truthfully, but doesn't matter because all the other times, you know, she
Yes.
is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I mean, who's this guy that's recently, I wanna say he's a FBI informant, and he has ties to Russia. That
Carter
was
Page.
yeah, that was just because he was talking about the Bidens having millions of dollars and
Mhm,
all this kind of crap and ties
mhm.
to Ukraine, and he had proof of it, and so he's being arrested, and now he's being held where
Oh,
where they allowed him to actually be out on bond, and
mhm,
he was out on bond, and then all of a sudden another judge came along and was like, nope, we're locking his ass back up.
mhm.
I just reported on that yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it becomes very difficult. Same way I was talking about this, everybody talk the election chat
Mhm,
GPT where they're just like, oh, you can't believe anything now that chat GPT.
mhm,
It's like, well, how about general civics? If students would have been learning general civics, just the basic civics, they would
mhm.
know how the election process works. But they don't even know that. They're having to chat GBT how the election process works because everybody's
Well,
been
so
so.
then, I think it's really a good idea that Google and Gemini and, if they continue to dominate with AI, because, students can now learn from history, "Hey, we need to organize a struggle session." Yes!
Exactly. What's wrong with the struggle session?
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong
yeah.
there. Oh my god.
The Cultural Revolution in China with 5,000 years of culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing was the Cultural Revolution, the way it worked was Mao didn't have at that point prior to it, he resented the power that he didn't have over the Communist Party and the other organs. So he called and so he would talk about this need for revolution, the three mountains. I forgot the bourgeoisie and everything else.
Yeah.
But he didn't order it. So you
No.
have these right up to like middle school teenagers, they would hijack classrooms. Um, and when they protested, they wouldn't get arrested. I mean, you wouldn't because they were fearful. So what would you do? What would you say Mao's role was? Mao gave 8 speeches in support of these revolutionaries. So
Mhm.
he encouraged them from from behind, but he knew what he was doing. So he created this chaos and, equivalent of defunding the police and this violence and and it was unchecked. They could go these revolutions. So isn't that familiar with what
Yeah.
happened with these summers of love and
Oh, Bay of
peaceful
Pigs.
protesters? Yeah,
Bay of Pigs was pretty much the same
yeah.
way. It's like, "Oh, you
No, but
have
I'm
our
I'm
support, you
talking
have
about
our support."
the United States.
Well,
You
yeah.
have a defunded police. You have peaceful protesters. Oh,
Uh-huh.
except January 6th.
No.
That's insurrection.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's something that goes on for months and months and months on end.
mhm,
That's like, peaceful
mhm,
protesters, but something that
mhm,
goes on for a few hours, and all
mhm,
of a sudden it's this major revolution, insurrection. They're trying to take down our government.
mhm,
Do I think the people that went there onto the Capitol grounds and started crap like that? Do I think that those that were causing damage should be prosecuted? Yeah, for trespassing,
mhm,
for doing damage to public
mhm,
property and disturbance and whatever else you can possibly give them. Insurrection? No, I just don't buy it.
mhm,
I'm, you know,
yeah.
oh
It was
my,
just it was a but so cultural revolution. It's an interesting thing to revisit because suddenly you go no, and you say like there's so many parallels with what and it was very useful for Mao. It was very useful for Mao. I mean,
it's and it's very useful in the United
uh,
States because
uh,
they're pushing this already. It's become a
yeah.
religion. Everything from chopping children's body parts off to
Mhm,
deleting babies to it's like this one big religious fiasco. And if you call it a religion, like what it is, you'd realize that there's a reason why our founding fathers did not want to have
mhm,
the government forming any sort of religions for this
mhm,
purpose. It wasn't that they were against religion or
Mm.
having a religion, just they didn't want the United States to become like that. And that's sort of, they didn't want the Church of England,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
the king is the head of the
Oh,
church.
so that is one of the things that still exists. If you're talking about the whatever the rules of succession in the British royal family,
Hmm.
um, they cannot be a member of the Roman Catholic Church. I think
Nope.
it that's in there. They go, oh wow,
Yeah.
I, uh,
It's
I,
mob
I,
mentality, not an insurrection. Yep.
rather than saying you can only be a member of, say, the Church of England, they specify you can't be, which I kind of find funny. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, no, you understand the history with King
Yes.
Henry, and he wanted, but
Oh, that's
yeah,
so crazy. So, of course, this mayoral hopeful was found shot to death Monday in his car. The Marino Party state committee said in a statement that killing Zavala was just a cowardly and reprehensible act. The head of the Marino Party in Juan Pablo Chelis and Zaval had announced his intention to run, but had not yet been designated as the party's candidate. Um, Another one, Moreno Mario Hopeful, was killed last year. Retiree Padilla was busy packing charity packages at local Catholic church food banks. She said the city started getting violent around 2019 before we'd go out at night, but now there isn't any reason. If there's no reason to go out, you don't. Other hopeful who initiated disappeared last October until his shot and decomposed body was found in a rural area in November. It could be
oh
that they
no.
don't want anyone from Marina, suggesting that
Mhm.
killing Perez of the conservative PAN was maybe a way to make it appear that the killings were not directed at one party. The watchdog group Civic Data said January report political
Wait,
violence
wait,
23.
no, wait. There's one line. The Western state
Yeah, the
of
Western state of
Mito. Yeah.
Moroccan had been particularly hit hard by gang turf wars, with the new Jalisco new generation cartel fighting a local gang, the Viagras.
That's what I saw. The Viagra. Arriba, arriba. Ooh. Yeah,
Arriba!
and then, hey. When you do that, your hand stays up for a long time. It
Yes,
doesn't go
yes.
down.
Well, you want it to go down after a few hours.
Yeah.
If not, go seek medical attention.
the the Viagra's. Ooh.
Oh my
Hey!
gosh.
Wait a minute. I think we know who killed him. Didn't you say that the guy who got killed was a gynecologist? Didn't he
Yeah,
have a gang called the Viagra's? I,
I'm telling you.
yeah. I think I know.
Doctor,
You know,
you've been selling nasty nasty poontang.
this is that's not a misspelling. Like the
No,
Viagra's. Yeah,
the
the
Viagra's.
local gang. Yeah,
They probably pronounce it different, but that's still Viagra's to me.
yeah, Viagra.
The federal elections are increasingly synchronized on one election day. Isn't that amazing how state and federal elections are synchronized on one day? Like
Hmm.
in the US, it turns into months. It's likely the biggest election in history will also suffer the biggest attacks from organized crime. Mirachin has the fifth highest number of attacks on politicians and government officials in 23, behind Guerrero State in the south of Guadalajara. I'm not going to even try to pronounce it to the north, and I'm not going to pronounce those, but Veracruz I can say. Also, a higher number of attacks. Civic Data said 5 people intending to run for office were killed in Mexico in January. Good Lord. In a report published earlier this month, intelligent consultants wrote that the organized crime will intervene like never before in local elections in 24 because more mayors' offices are at stake, more cartels are engaged in turf wars, and cartels have expanded their business model far beyond drugs. Cartels make much more money extorting protection payments from local businesses and even local governments. That's why mayoral races are more important to them than national elections often become violent. The violence has a chilling effect on democracy. Well, no,
Hmm.
democracy is like the most chilling effect on itself. Democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Moravado
I've
resident
hmm,
Marcus Batista and Zavala
hmm.
and Perez were political newcomers, respected local figures making their first foray into politics in a country tired of career politicians. They didn't hold positions before. They just started out. It's like, did these people like speak bad of Hillary Clinton or something like that? They were just
Yeah.
starting out. They were finishing them off,
Mhm.
noting that the only politician left would be those willing to support the criminals. And then who's going to cover us? I feel like the voting isn't going to solve anything, take away your rights, make you afraid of these people, and they would or could come to the voting booths. Yeah.
One idea why they have their elections all in one day, I don't know if this makes sense, but in Japan, organized crime, um, will have still, but before they really did, they would, you would have shareholders meeting. In Japan, the fiscal year is, until April, okay? So then end of the year, April, you would have you would have shareholders meetings,
Hmm.
and you would have organized, yakuza, criminals, the mob. And say you go to a shareholder meeting and you wanna raise a pertinent question. Say it's like an Andrew Esquire, and he's there and he's addressing things on Disney, right?
Hmm.
But the goofy gang is there on Disney Bob Iger's side. So maybe even though he's like 6'6" and he's big, he gets stabbed, or he gets they say shut up, and he gets beaten up or something like that,
Yeah.
and nobody says anything. Or when they want to pass a motion, you have these guys still. It sounds intimidating. Yes, of course. Yeah, we all approve. Does anyone object? And you know, you want to, and so they'll do that. So now, in order to kind of make it more difficult for the mob, they kind of companies collectively organize. They tend to have their shareholders meetings around the same day. They beef up presence, with private security and also, law enforcement. But if a particular organized crime group says, "Yeah, we're going to go after the tortoise shareholders meeting and this one, that one," you can't be in the same place in many places at the same time.
Hmm.
And maybe that's why the Mexicans are doing it
On a
like that.
single day. Well, I mean,
Even though as violent as it is, it's
yeah, I mean, and they don't have the same kind of rule of law that the U.S.
mhm,
has, which it's hard to come for people to understand this, coming from another country where
mhm,
in Mexico the rule of law is like, well, who has the bigger group that's gonna
mhm,
gonna pound the other one down. Not all of it is
mhm,
like that, but I mean, I had a friend of mine that had his green card and just happened to be out one night, driving home, didn't have his green card with him, got pulled over by the police and got his ass deported back to Guerrero.
wow.
And he was just, I mean, he was scared to death because, the last time he was there, he was what, 17, 18 years old.
Mhm,
And, his father got him, brought into the US and
mhm,
got him on a work visa, and he would have to go back every so often, but he would go
mhm.
to the outskirts of his hometown because it would be, so dangerous.
Dangerous.
And this is, we're talking big kid. This kid was what, 6 foot
Mhm,
4,
mhm,
an easy 250.
mhm,
And I mean, they were just looking at this guy like, yeah, we want him on our side. He could be an enforcer. And this guy's like the gentle
mhm.
giant. It's like, I don't want to be a gang member. And he was
Uh,
worried that they would beat him, either beat him to death to bring him
mhm,
in, or he'd be dead. And that's just the way of life in some of these rural towns.
mhm.
I mean, he was showing me pictures of his town. It's like, man, I have it so much better here. I like appreciate every single bit of, you know, being in the United States as compared to the
Mhm.
country that I'm from. The state,
But I
the
don't know,
town.
but some of the footage that I'm getting of places in Seattle, Oregon, and certainly California, you're just going, "Holy shit, that place is a
Yeah,
shithole." And, and yeah, uh,
yeah.
that's the thing you don't expect
No,
with,
in the
with the
U.S. now.
US. I mean, you And so that's the, we're making jokes. They were saying, "Hey, send Max over to through Mexico and go through." And they say, "Hey, Max, you could ostensibly you could get like $10,000 in debit cards from the state of New York," and say, "We're just joking about it." But it's seriously, there's Chinese going through
Hmm.
China, and and you're going, really? Yeah. I mean, it's not just. Of course, I understand that when you say from Mexico, and then there's gonna be Central America and South America. I get that. But then they go, "No, you're getting, people from all over the world. Diversity is our strength or their strength." So, significant numbers of Chinese, and then you're going like, "China's sending them?" I mean, it's, permission to travel and shit like that is that kinda like, you know are they like the human equivalent of fentanyl that China, you know, active in the supply of fentanyl? The Mexican gangs, they've been operating in Japan for a while, and you're going,
Yeah.
"What?" And then what I understood, and this is from a few years ago, I was talking to the guy. After 6 years, he was leaving Japan as the DEA rep here, and he said the Mexicans think Japan law enforcement is a joke. They have no qualms. If they get caught, hey, piece of cake, um, compared to anywhere else. So they'll do like bring over components of, say it's methamphetamine or whatever. Then they'll bring in the components through industrial parts that are normally imported into Japan. See, the reports we always hear about when they find them, it's in something like so stupid. They get a car and they fill it up with drugs, and that gets inspected. Or these are machine parts that don't make any economic sense to import. So then
Right.
they take a look at it.
And then
But
all
when they
this
do
is
it
just,
well, they even send over their kind of baking breaking bad consultant.
oh yeah.
And yeah.
You seen this before?
What's it?
You never
360
seen this?
degree. No.
No, this is
What's he
awesome.
doing?
Oh, you'll see.
Oh, I I like
uh,
Indians. They're great.
yes, yes. There's
Oh,
one that I saw where this guy is doing this one with, and it's the same concept where he's
uh-huh.
filming like all of this stuff where he's throwing, water down and splashing things, and he's got
Uh-huh.
his camera, and all it is like crotch shots of himself.
Oh,
He's doing it like his face, like,
oh.
oh god.
That was India. Okay.
Yeah, it was India. I've
Oh,
seen like,
yeah. There are someone made this comment on a military channel I watch. They go, say if you're observing this, what the situation in Ukraine and Russia is, you can't trust your own media sources because for as far as the mainstream so-called mainstream media, Ukraine is winning. Ukraine is on the verge of winning. They're we just need a little bit more. And so he's an American guy. He's a who was a former officer in U.S. Army and tank. It's a nice ubiquitous name. It's kind of like military and military something network. I'll put the channel. Anyways, the guy calls him, he's anonymous. He doesn't have a name. He calls him the voice of reason, but he's not an obnoxious, arrogant person. But one of his listeners or viewers kind of commented, because you can't really trust mainstream media, and he's not, aside from a YouTube channel which provides regular reports, he finds himself relying on the reports for Ukraine and Russia from Indian news sources, Middle Eastern ones, and just trying to get a more objective thing. And this is funny. There is like a Indian news channel like WION. It's kind of conservative, but it is pretty funny. I some of there's this woman. She's Indian. She's like has these brass balls. She's very like kind of angry and she's I don't know who she reminds me of, uh but I kind of like the position, the information, the stories they come out with, Um, but that did remind me of India where I said, "Oh yeah, there are some kind of good channels that did some pretty decent, you know, objective coverage." Oh, I know what they did. Of course, they hate Pakistan. There was a woman in Pakistan, and she had a dress on, a nice dress, and it had Arabic lettering on it, and I think the word was something like innocuous, like beautiful or something, or vert, but she was dining in a cafe, and several hundred angry Pakistani men, they said she is wearing a dress with the verses of the Quran written on it. It wasn't true. And they were
Yeah,
trying to rip her apart, and they were screaming. You think it's funny because you get those signs, and they go, behead those who insult Islam, and they mean it. They wanted to rip the dress off, and you had a Pakistani policewoman, and she was really tough, and she was praised because she covered her in a blanket and said, "Get out, get away," and protected her. And if the policewoman wasn't there, because the policemen weren't doing anything, that
right.
woman could have been killed for by a bunch of people who can't read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of something that somebody else said.
Mhm.
Seoul, South Korea and U.S. troops will begin their expanded annual military drills next week in response to North Korea's evolving
Mhm.
nuclear threats, the two countries said Wednesday, a move that will likely enrage North Korea because it views its rivals' joint training as invasion rehearsal. In
Oh
recent
yeah.
months, North Korea's inflamed animosities for the Korean Peninsula with fiery rhetoric and continued missile tests. That's not uncommon. They've been doing that for decades. While it's unlikely for
But
North
they've been
Korea to
ramping
launch,
it up a lot.
or is it they're just reporting that they're ramping it up a lot? I mean, because
No,
I've
no,
heard
I
some of
mean
this.
their missile launches and shit. I mean North Korea. I mean, yeah.
Okay, it just seems like they've always said that they're ramping it up, but then nothing ever
Mhm.
comes of it. Of course, it
I mean,
isn't North Korea and China, Brazil, Russia. They formed some sort of little pact of some sort where like trading pact. I can't remember
oh,
what they call it.
the BRICS, but not North Korea. I don't think North Korea is in BRICS.
Yeah.
Um, their economy sucks so bad. Um,
No, I think that
but
they're
I could be
still
wrong. Oh,
involved in it because if I'm not mistaken, China, not China, but Russia has been trading with North Korea, sending over missile systems, and
oh,
North Korea has been sending over missile systems to Russia, like something
okay.
like
Oh,
that.
I found it. I found it. Okay, you know what it is? That channel I watch. I'll put in. I don't know if it'll come into your chat or not. It's called military. I can't spell worth shit. Um, military and oh god, this keyboard sucks. Okay,
Let
okay. Oh jeez, I can hold on. Let me move this microphone. Give me a
me do
keyboard.
this real quick. I know what I can do here.
It's
I can make
military
it.
and
I can make it add as moderator. There we go. I saved you as a moderator, so now you can put stuff in there.
okay. Um, oh, I can't spell worth. I'll
Worth a
put it
damn.
into the comments. Yeah, but this guy, I like him. He has two grown kids, I think. One of them just got commissioned as an officer in the army, and
Nice.
and of course, he's demonetized and everything because of what he does. But and he also point out often the map he uses is a Ukrainian source, so he he'll indicate if any people are criticizing him, if anything, he's pointing out he's using it from there this source is probably going to be more biased towards the Ukraine. Yet he's making these analyses, and
Right.
these observations
Well, and that was
there.
the thing. The news source that
Mhm,
I pulled up last week was
mhm.
and let me do this real quick.
There it is.
Um,
Okay, Military and Foreign Affairs Network. Um, and I don't know the guy's name, and it just sounds weird, hokey, repeating it like the voice of reason. And he broadcasts regularly, like I
oh,
mean, sometimes
nice.
every day. But it's not just Russia and Ukraine. And it was like he was giving me updates on um Ethiopia and Sudan. And so when that broke out, I actually had a friend who was early on. He was U.S. He's a former State Department. He was put out in Djibouti, and you're going. So someone said, "So what?" So I understood right away. When you do evacuation, including some of the Japanese, the exit point is Djibouti, not Djibouti.
Wow.
And I knew this kind of thanks. And it's funny because people, you get these weird they go, people they're hypocrites because they're lying through their teeth. They're going, I've been watching it. I've been because people are ignoring the situation in Africa and everything. And I go, fuck, like, real. I think there's a lot of people who lie. They want to put themselves as somewhat virtuous, whatever. But anyways, this guy just covers a good objective stuff. It's not, and then once in a while he'll give, like, I think the titles will be, I don't know what, like something about craziness or something like that, and he's going to talk about something that's going on in American society that's just like crazy as a guy. Maybe he's just turned 50,
Wow.
so and he was in the United States Army, and he was uh in armored in tanks. So when he talks about capabilities, he knows. I mean, it's not like, he's read it off wiki or whatever, and he has a very good understanding. And he'll even tell when his information is dated because it was more than a decade ago. But he'll understand how quickly you can train a crew and how quickly you can't, and the different issues. So I really like that, the fact, and also
No, he's got a good
he's
channel. Go ahead.
demonetized, of course, but then you
Of
have
course.
these, pro-Ukrainian YouTubers
Oh
he'll
God,
point out
yeah.
military age, and they're very, like, hawk Ukraine stuff, but he'll point out their military age, they're on YouTube, and he goes, "How come they're not?" And given their position that they're very outspoken about, why are they not serving their country? Where
Right.
the average age of a Ukrainian serviceman right now is 43 years old. It's 43, and holy.
Yeah, like
And
this guy right here.
yeah,
This
and
guy
so
right
I
here.
think I think they're broadcasting. Those guys escaped from Ukraine, and
Mhm.
they're doing it for places like Switzerland and and other places. But definitely this guy, if he is a Ukrainian, and there's even one Ukrainian pilot, so he's qualified,
Mhm.
and but nope, he's a YouTube blogger, and he's yeah.
Yeah, and it was not uncommon, which a lot of people don't realize this during a certain little German artist's reign of terror
Mhm,
in Germany,
mhm,
that the United States was actually supporting this guy. He was well spoken of in the New
mhm,
York Times, that trying to gather support from American counterparts, and a lot of
mhm,
people were supporting what he was doing. And it also, Russia was very supportive of what he was doing. They had a
mhm,
lot of the same ideology. Russia wanted to
mhm,
join forces with him,
mhm,
and well, it didn't work out too well for him then, which makes me a little bit concerned whenever you have this same thing going on with Ukraine, where it's
mhm,
like, why aren't you supporting Ukraine? Why aren't you supporting Ukraine? Why do I have to? It doesn't involve me whatsoever. It
mhm,
seems to me like a very bad decision to be supporting a country in that way. Same way I don't support Russia in any part of this. I understand where Russia's coming from. I understand where
Mhm.
Ukraine's coming from, but this is not a battle that I would
Yeah.
want to I think is good in any way, shape, or form. A Navy
Not for
SEAL.
not for the amount of money you're being told that you will be that the country will be, committing to and paying for, and you're not even right to the point where say, "Oh, I don't know if you have kids or not," but to say, "Oh, yeah, go to the point or you're gonna have American, servicemen and women's, fighting if they're not already," like, come on. That's not,
Yeah, it's like this big sums of cash that are being sent over there, and
mm,
their spending bill, the one that they wanted to get approved with
mm,
that. Oh, it involved also the Mexican border. Up until like that just got wiped
mm,
from the news. They don't talk about Eagles Pass
mm,
anymore, except that's
mm.
where Trump is going to
Oh, Eagles
be
Pass is in
Thursday.
Texas. I
Yeah,
know a guy who grew up there. Yeah.
yeah. So Thursday, Trump is going to be in Eagles Pass, and Biden is going to be in Brownsville. I think is what it is.
Mm,
That's where they're making their little campaign stops at to talk about the border.
mm.
And which one do you think is going to get more news coverage from like your media stations? They'll not say a whole lot about Trump. That'll be something that they'll say, "Oh, he went over there, and he's insurrectioning the southern border or some crap like that."
No, he's being
Whereas,
racist too.
yeah, yeah, but of
It's
course,
racist.
Biden will be just like, "Oh, he was right there at the front lines, and he wept with Ocasio Cortexes or whatever."
Yeah.
And you can see that the news is going to be very biased towards it one way or the other, and it's just like, all of this for people to get upset about the southern border, to say, hey, something's not right here. And then you got places like California, just like, yeah, these are really bad policies. We're going to be running a deficit whenever they release,
Mhm,
1,000
mhm,
people a day. We can't handle that infrastructure. What,
mhm.
you expect Texas to handle that infrastructure by
Yeah.
itself? Like, why do you think they're sending the people up that way? It's
Mhm,
like, it's and but back to the Ukraine thing, they're that spending bill, they want, they initially said, oh, it's only 60 billion. It's like,
mhm.
but then you start reading what they're talking about, and it goes up. It goes to 65 billion, 70 billion. Once you get all of the other little things like humanitarian aid, no, the 60 billion is just for so they can buy artillery, which of course they'll buy our artillery and our shells. It's like, well, why would they do that whenever they could just buy it from someone in the EU for much cheaper? Why does it have to be American artillery? Why does it have to be American shells or planes or whatever it is that you're
You
wanting
know,
them?
yeah,
It
there
makes
was
no sense.
and some weird shit was going on. Anyway, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm thinking with it's funny because I thought if you had asked me, like, put a gun to my head and say, "What do you think if there were uh peace terms that based on your peripheral understanding of what's been going on that Putin would settle for?" And
There were peace
I would have
terms.
I would have said something like, "Oh, you'd have the borders kind of there, and you'd have the commitment of you're not gonna Ukraine's not gonna do NATO." And uh, and then someone made me think, said, "Nuh-uh, you could have said that. That could have been the case in 2022 or 20, within the year. But given what's going on right now and everything else, and with with NATO and everything, Putin would probably for him, his point would be regime change in Ukraine, and and I once it was said, I went, oh, I kind of get you. So, boy, that's kind of
Yeah,
that yeah, that
because
makes it a lot harder. Yeah.
well, and there was talks of peace, and
Mhm,
basically that Russia would be pulling
mhm,
out of Kiev.
mhm,
or Kyiv,
Mhm,
or however you say
mhm,
it. And immediately they backed out of the deal. It wasn't Russia that
mhm.
backed out of it. They backed out
Yeah.
of Kyiv, and then they turned around and they went against their
Mhm,
word. And it's like Russia was like, okay, well, we know that you guys are not going to
mhm,
abide by any sort of peace
mhm,
treaty, that you're just going to keep
mhm,
this war machine going. We're wanting to
mhm,
get this stuff settled. And well, you guys aren't playing nice. I mean, Russia said multiple times, like, you guys keep expanding, and we've told you don't. We'd we'd
So
be-
now,
we'd be fine being part of NATO, but it's our terms that you're going to abide by. We're not gonna submit to your bullshit. And
mm,
U.S. just likes to have that evil person on the other side of the globe. Big bad Russia, big bad China. Not saying that their greatest
mm,
places or their policies are
mhm,
are good for Americans,
mhm,
but
mhm,
they also don't affect Americans.
mhm. Yeah.
Some of them
The
can.
though, the number, I was talking about the media, and the US media,
Hmm.
and also, Ukraine's, public affairs. They're saying, I don't know, what's the number, official number of Ukrainian war dead,
Yeah, they said that.
31,000. The number is 31,000 that they
Hmm.
say, and it's repeated. There are
Over.
31,000, and it's weird because, you might have numbers of 90,000 injured, right?
Right.
And meanwhile, they claim that I don't know how many Russians have been killed. 350. Remember, Russia had like 110 million more people and 10 times more in terms of armament than
Right.
Ukraine did. But okay, let's say it's 350,000. So you're thinking, I can't remember. I think even Ukraine claimed 350,000 something. So Max is going, oh, so really good. So you don't need more money. You're so
Yeah.
efficient, and congratulations.
Yeah.
I just, I actually think that putting on this thing of not admitting, not being forthright in the number of their war dead, and then it's I I would want to take advantage of it if if you're the counterparty being asked to front up more money, more commitments. Just say, look, looks like you've done pretty damn well. Far better than anyone could have expected. Congratulations. So
Yes.
you need less. That's good. We're glad to hear that, Um,
That
yeah.
that would be my thought. That I mean,
Mhm,
personally, I was like, why haven't they like put a kibosh on this? Because
mhm.
you're sitting there saying, hey, you guys are doing the complete checkmate. I mean, you're using pawns and you're just knocking bishops off the board left and right.
And
Why would you ever
the
have to move
reality is,
forward?
if their numbers really are that dire, with the average age of 43, or I don't know if that's official or whatever, then, no, you don't want, it's like having a crackhead friend of family or relative. You don't what the next question, "Well, we need your commitment, Poland or NATO. We need your service." No, fuck,
Yeah.
That's and that's what I'm thinking is worse. What's worse than the financial commitments, is
Yes. The body commitments.
that kind of ask, and getting close to it and saying, "Well, come on, you've already committed." So you would
Yeah,
wanna
you've,
just
you've already committed money. You're
yeah,
already committing.
yeah,
You've already sending armament. So I
yeah,
mean, why not send some troops? I mean,
mhm.
come on, help us out. I mean, we've got this great war machine that's doing wonderful.
'Cause I don't think they have enough, and then so if you look at this, now you go back in the old Soviet, thing, what do they do? And maybe I watch too much of those games and simulations, but you see that once they make that break, then the machine rolls forward, they
Oh yeah.
and then you're going, "Okay, that's."
Once that dam breaks, that flood starts happening, which, Broken Baker being, Dutch should know, about
Mhm.
dams and dikes. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's Danish. He's
Damn,
Danish.
damn,
Uh,
oh, yeah. Oh, now you oh, yeah, he's not Dutch, yeah, he's Danish, yeah.
no,
That's
he's
why he's
Danish.
Baker, yeah.
That's
No,
We like to, we'll that's okay. We'll get them some cream pies and some
cream
cheesy.
pies. Oh yeah, McDonald's Japan had something called adult cream pies.
I saw that. I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
that. I actually covered that one morning. I was like, "This
yeah.
is
It's
brought
like
to you by Chinky Eye Joe, adult cream
Chinky Eye
pies."
Joe. Yeah, Yeah, I've been shadow banned for years. I didn't realize I didn't really use my Twitter account, but Chinky Eye Joe, the count, maybe even still, it was shadow banned, and I said, "Why?"
Well,
I said, "I don't know, completely racist against me." What's your
it might
Twitter
be.
handle? I say Chinky Eye Joe. Some people don't realize I'm Chinky Eye Joe. That's why it's kind of. And
It's my
I also have to realize sometimes I do really Chinky Eye Joe stuff. I put it out there because other times, I follow the former defense minister of Japan. He's a
mhm.
friend, Kono Taro, and I'm just thinking, maybe it's not appropriate, and if I'm reposting like Senator Haggerty stuff, and they look at my stuff, they go, I should actually have two separate ones. Um,
Oh yeah.
because I realize, like, I forget sometimes, it's like, what is it like? It's like you and I talking, and then dropping an F bomb or two, and you're forgetting, like, your great aunt is there, listening. You go, oh
Uh,
shit, I'd be triggered.
ah.
You're
Yeah, but
not supposed to cuss. Yeah.
well, I don't really have any problem with it. Every so often,
Mm,
I'll say a couple of cuss words, but if
mm.
like I've had guests go, "Oh, I don't know, is it past the 2 hours where I can?" I was like, "Dude, you can say it 5 minutes into my stuff. I'm not going to get bent out of shape."
You
Like,
can't. You just It's just like on shows, but I mean, in front of other people's parents, it's not cool to cuss in front of them.
true.
Um, yeah, that's
I don't
important.
get upset. I don't get upset
Uh,
over it. But what I will be happening here in just a short bit. I'm going to have to shut down the stream
mm.
and do an
Oh,
outro, and so everybody gets to watch all the fake coffee drinking. It's awesome. I
what kind of coffee drinking? What kind of fake coffee drinking are you
Well,
doing?
you'll understand whenever you see it. It's totally fake
Oh,
coffee drinking, and you'll go, "Oh my
mhm.
god, that just looks
Are you
so
drinking
horribly
coffee
bad."
now?
Yes, I need to
Mm.
go get some more, but I I do drink
Uh,
coffee in the mornings.
well, that's good. I
Everybody.
mean, you're not like, it's not like sitting there with a fifth of whiskey and
No, that's at night. That's at night.
oh, but you're not drinking every night. That's gonna be.
No, I
I
pretty
mean, I
much
guess you
drink.
can.
I
Yeah,
drink every night, but I
you do.
also I also don't
Oh,
get like shit faced every night. So
oh
it's
yeah.
yeah. I don't do the drinking streams. I
Hmm.
no. It's like I drink if I want to, and if somebody wants to
Hmm.
pay me not to drink, I'll do that. But big
I
difference. Big difference.
did you go dry for January after New Year's or anything?
No, no,
Uh,
because then only alcoholics are going to do that. I'm not an
yeah.
alcoholic. I
I
drink.
kind of quit. I quit once for a long time,
Yeah,
based on a misunderstanding. It was really hard to quit, but
it
it was
is.
really healthy. But
It
it's really
is.
healthy. But
Yeah.
if you're until you get to that point, it's like a runner's high. It's incredibly miserable. And now I have I know I had to help out. I know one guy, he's relapsed. I helped him on 5 really, he's an alcoholic. I feel sorry for somebody who really does have a drinking problem because
Yes.
then they have to, you know, if they gone to the point where they have a DUI, and this is what the court does, which astounds me in the United States. They will say, often the deal is, like, they gave it to this one guy, he's a lawyer. They said, "Okay, you're gonna have some sort of sentence. You're gonna serve time." Or, and they don't call it AA, they call it court mandated 12-step program, and then they'll get probation. So then
Right.
people obviously don't want to serve time, so they do this. But it's AA. AA demands, and it's 19th century evangelical Christian. It's really, 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 it doesn't have a very high success rate.
No. AA
So
is AA is a religion.
there are, for everything else, almost everything else in America, when you have an ailment, there is a medication for it. There is medication that helps with the with alcoholism, but they
Mhm.
don't do it. Like, when I looked last, it was 2 to 3% of alcoholics get prescribed this. And so, you know what's really weird? Naltrexone, don't do it for alcoholics. They go, "No, no, no, no," and AA is really against it. Go, "Because it doesn't require abstinence." Okay, but here's the same substance. When it comes to opiate addiction, "Oh, yeah, this is really effective." I'm going, "What?" This in this case, they're
No, but in this
they're
case,
they're
yes.
denying this. So alcoholics are discriminated against. They are denied a lot of the 21st century medications and approaches and treatment. But if it's an opiate addiction, oh yeah, this is highly and they're going like that's crazy.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
Like I said, I drink, probably every night. And I mean,
Yeah,
there's days where I'm just like, I'm just not in the mood to drink, and I'll drink water like all the time.
yeah.
Like for me, I can do like a 3 hour stream. I might have like a shot, maybe two,
Mhm.
if even that. Sometimes it's just a couple of beers. Some like
Oh, wait, you're Tennessee, right? No,
no, I'm in Georgia.
Georgia. Okay, so you do bourbon or
Yeah, I do bourbon or do like ales. I mean,
uh,
usually high gravity beers.
uh.
That's just me.
I've been I've been getting into the vodka, so just the vodkas. Yeah,
Oof.
and then you move to gin. I was doing whiskey, but then oh, my friend's building a whiskey distillery up in Hokkaido
That's right.
for
I remember you talking about that. That'd be.
yeah, this is a crazy thing. They're a majorly large distillery in Kentucky
Mhm.
that nobody knows about. Yeah, yeah, it's called IWJ or IJW or something,
Okay.
and
IGW.
but they're large, and so they're building one in Japan, and but I think they have hundreds of thousands of barrels in bond.
Mhm.
I think they're run by Orthodox Jews. So I keep on thinking IJW, yeah, International Jewish Whiskey. I'm not I'm not freaking kidding. You're like, oh yeah, it's a conspiracy.
Well, we've
Yeah,
got we'll head out with that one. And guys,
yeah.
make sure that you check out Max Murrah's channel, and on Twitter he's Chinky High Joe, but he's also got a YouTube channel where he tells some really great stories, and I use some of them here. So you guys have a wonderful one, and he's also a frequent guest with Meme Copium and damn it now the catfish damn it
Catfish?
BP
Oh yeah,
BP yeah
BP's
BP.
Custom Creations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's a frequent guest over there with those boys. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you all tomorrow.